Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
What's up, friends? Welcome back to the TV Terminal. My name is Adam Vale, Senior Editor over at the Koalition with a K.com.
And I'm Josh Lamage, writer for the Koalition.
You always laugh when I do that. I don't know why. You always laugh. It's like, what? Like everybody knows. They don't. And I know people are going to go and they're like, I didn't know you made Gears of War. Suck up
Oh, true.
Yeah. You know, it's a whole other thing. But hey, welcome back, everybody. We are back from Monarch Season 2, Episode 7, String Theory, and a day late. This is me. I had my 15th year anniversary with my wife yesterday. 15 years. That is.
What'd you do?
We just spent time with the kids. That's it. That's nothing. It's not much you can do. It's not much you can do. You know, like, yeah, we could plan things out, but then there's other activities. We had all this bad weather out here, so it's whatever. You know, I mean, we'll find time. You know, we'll do something during the weekend or something. It's good though. All right, so just want to say that, and yeah, let's get into this because I was really surprised with this one. I was expecting more Titan action, and I think a lot of people, I saw that in the comments and was like, oh, the trailer showed all these Titans. I know exactly what's going to happen next week. This is why I don't discuss trailers, you know, teasers for the next episode, because what you see is not always what you get. You know, they split things up. They want to entice you so that way you do tune in next week. But I don't follow that. And sure enough, look at this. What did we get? We didn't get anything until like the very, very end of a time. Yeah, we saw some creatures at the end back in the Upside Down, which is I want to call it the other world. But
Axis Mundi.
Yeah, Axis Mundi. But we didn't see Godzilla. We didn't see any of that stuff, right?
No, we saw his tail.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. Exactly.
We'll get into
Yeah, and it's getting to the point that I think when we do see some craziness happen, something really big, it's going to be the season finale. Or the series finale. We still don't know if this is getting picked up for a third season. That's still, you know, up in the air.
We'll see how good it ends.
Right, exactly.
All
so
right,
let's get into it.
Kick it off. So we're in Axis Mundi 1962. If you remember from the previous episode, old Shaw, or Lee Shaw, our modern Shaw, was on a walkie-talkie and he was communicating with his younger self. So we were like, what's going on here? So we have some flashbacks of young Lee Shaw. He's getting in that ball thing, going down into Axis Mundi, you know, everything from last season, trying to find Keiko and stuff like that. And then it shows him basically being stranded on Axis Mundi and the days that he spent like trying to hunt for food and just like kind of suffering by himself because his crew died.
What a blessing Kurt Russell has, that he has the son that looks like it's his twin. It's his younger version, right? It's fantastic. He's like, man, we can print money now. We could do all kinds of, let's go back to Escape from New York. Let's do a throwback. And you could play Snake Plissken, the younger version of me. This will be fantastic. I mean, it's great that we get to see this part of it where they're doing a flashback and it works, you know, but it works in how their depiction and because of the characters and then the siblings, but it doesn't. And I'll bring it up right now. You can keep going with it, but it doesn't seem to work with this whole communicating back and forth. I keep thinking of Back to the Future. You can't talk to yourself in the future and then say certain things and think the person's not going to remember. Wouldn't that pop up? Wouldn't these things, all the stuff that comes up here later with the Keiko and all, I'm going to find blah, 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 that you would know all that. Wouldn't that information just get thrust into your head because it's your past now telling you from the, you know what I mean?
But relatively, he didn't change anything, and then he also didn't give too much away in a sense. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of it. Is like he let things be. I mean, who knows what the consequences are of what they did? But
Doc Brown still told Marty that he read the letter. You know, it's like, come on now, you know, and it's the same thing. He talked to himself in the future. So if that's the case, he should remember or something else would happen and it would connect. I don't think we're going to see him again. Or maybe we do. I don't think they're going to keep doing the back and forth with the younger version and the Axis Mundi. I mean, that would get confusing. Thankfully, the show understood this could get a little bit confusing, and they were calling him Primary, right, from the Axis Mundi, the show that was in that realm. That was Primary, but all right, keep going.
So we'll call him Primary Lee.
Yeah, Primary Lee.
the primary lead's there, and he's kind of losing his mind a little bit. He looked into the trap that he made, and there's no Titan or anything in it. It's he sees himself, then he doesn't see himself, and he's just like having this whole issue. So yeah, so then he gets the call, and he's talking with his older self now. He doesn't know this at this point, but he's like, my crew is dead, my vehicle is damaged, my food is run out, I need an extraction. And then we cut.
Sorry, you're stuck there for life. But hey, make the best of it. How much battery life do you have in your walkie? And let's talk about life.
So older Lee,
stuck, right? Exactly, older Lee. It's like, but yeah, it's well, I already went on my whole rant of like this whole thing about talking to the future self. Of course, we have to put the whole disbelief. I mean, we're watching a show about Titans, and monsters and stuff like that. So it's
but
fine.
It would cancel each other out, because like if he tells himself to do something, it would cancel each other out. That's like the whole time travel paradox. Because if he did something and then his younger self died, then he would die, and therefore he wouldn't tell himself to do anything.
I mean, I was that one point, and I mean, we'll get to it, but I just want to bring it here before I forget. When he gets hurt, the primary Shaw, I was waiting for, a scar or something to pop, because a scar does pop up on the face. Yeah, it popped up, and I was expecting something else to happen, like with his leg, like maybe he tweaked his ankle, and that is an injury that stayed with him his entire life. And then when he walks over to Zook, and he's like, "Oh, what's wrong?" It's like, I guess primary Shaw got hurt. Oh, my leg, and it still hurts. I don't know, but yeah, the scar was a nice touch, because he said, cool. Carry your physical and your emotional scars.
But older Lee's like, what happens, Zook? Like, what's happening here? And he's like, oh, it's an hourglass frequency. Like time moves differently there, so that's how we're able to communicate with him. And then primary Shaw's like, is Bill Rhonda there? Like, is everybody here? And he's like, yeah, no, everything's gonna be good. You're gonna make it home. Like, this is the shortest thing I've ever had in my life. You're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, and I mean, we know that's the other thing with this. It's like, as crazy as all this is happening, we know the outcome because Shaw's still here. If they want to really throw a curveball, which they won't, something happens to Shaw and Axis Mundi, and then main Shaw just drops and has a heart attack or something. It's like, what happened? They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. So there was really no concern regarding this whole scene, and then pretty much this whole interaction with primary Shaw. I if there's one thing that we enjoyed with this show, and then we saw recently with Hero dying, is that, wow, that was unexpected. We see a lot of craziness with things going on, with some characters going through hardships and moving around and all the stuff. But to see Hero die, wow, okay. And we're getting closer to the end of the season. We could see other characters dying. Could we see Shaw die? No. He even hints that he might be next in line, but I still don't see that. Because
there goes the whole show.
There goes the whole show. But then again, like I said, this could be the story. We don't know how many seasons they had planned out. What was it? It's based off a comic series, but we don't know if they have the green light for a third season. So maybe they're like, you know what? We could probably write this off and just close this book. And if they close it off, why not just, kill them off? But not until the last episode. I don't see it happening on episode 7. So that was my whole thing. And I'm sure people watching, it's like, all right, yeah, this is interesting, but I don't think you ever thought, primary Shaw or present day Shaw were in any serious danger with all this.
It's a slight filler. So we get Cate and Keiko. They're talking about how the symbols and the waveform is creating a pattern, and Keiko's feeling that Cate might be the link to finding where Titan X is. They feel that it's off its migratory path. It's lost, and maybe she could help it find its way back to Axis Mundi.
Well, she has that connection, Remember, she walked into the San Fran harbor, and every time she's around water, the little ripples start happening.
She's sensitive to it.
Yeah.
And then Keiko comes out with this, like, Billy had this idea for this site in Japan that he felt was linked to Titan X, because they believe this area was cursed. A bunch of women would go like near this well, and they would fall into the well, and all you would hear is screams and different things, and people thought like everyone was going crazy that lived there. So she was like, maybe there's something that could link to this. So they decided.
What a story! What a story. I mean, out of nowhere, I was like, oh, are we going to get like a ghost town? Is this going to be like
Yeah,
turn
because
into
there are like
a horror
demons'
episode?
voices
Yeah.
and throat vibrations and stuff like
She's
that.
like,
So.
hold on, I think Billy has photos. And then she
Yeah, she
whips them out.
did.
Like, take a look
There's
at
all
this.
these people just like,
Yeah, looking all crazy and stuff. It's like, oh wow. I mean, damn, Billy, this dude's like a Mormon. He keeps all the records.
I was
He's
thinking,
got
I was thinking they were gonna find like a village with like ancestors or something. I wasn't sure like what they were gonna come into.
yeah. I
And
would
then I was
think,
like, is this like the spooky episode? Like, what's going on?
oh yeah, that's what I've seen. Like, this could have definitely been like the horror episode. It's like remember back in the day, every series had one. You had
Yeah,
the
that one
suspense,
episode.
and there was always that one scare, the Halloween special.
Yeah,
Something crazy is gonna happen.
I love
All
that.
right, yeah.
Then we have Kentaro in his room, and May walks in because she's just there, and he's like, "Look, I apologize for last night," and she's like, "Yeah, it's okay. Like we have history. Like it's fine."
Now I'm sure people were, if you're like me, you were confused because like, wait a minute, how did she get into the apartment? Right, that's one, because he was there with his mom. Two, the way she brings this up, oh, it happened, implying like something else took place, and we see him packing up and doing all this stuff. So I was like, man, did we miss something? Did she spend the night? Did she come back after that whole thing? Like, but no, she was just talking about what happened at the club or the bar when he made
when he
the
kissed
kiss
her.
on her.
Maybe his mom let him in. I don't know, but they share a little moment, and she's like, "Where are you going?" And he's like, "I'm going to Thailand." And she's like, "And you're going by yourself?" And he talks about how he got an invitation, and she's like, "Okay, like, well, why are you doing this?" And he's like, what? Do I need your permission?
Oh, this is the best one. This is the only audio I had to take because this is great.
I need to know. I met someone. I'm taking it. Do I need your permission?
No, I did not say that.
I'm just tired of everyone telling me what's right, what's wrong, what my obligations are to my family, to Monarch, to saving the world. It's my life.
I like this notion. I like this because I like this whole idea because everything was so left or right for him. You know what I mean? Now it's like, let me figure something out.
And I'm hoping Isabel was fronting that bill to Thailand because, I mean, these kids, they're flying back and forth. We see Cate from Florida to Tokyo, direct flights, no layovers. This is not cheap. This whole thing is not cheap. And that's the things that roll in my head, people, when I'm watching this show. But this speech here, I feel like everyone has had a similar speech or have given a similar speech to family or what, you know what I mean? You want to find your own path. Everyone's like, oh, you got to go here, go to college, go here. But like, well, what if I want to go and travel? What I want to join this band and go to Norway and do Norwegian death metal? Oh, you can't do that. And then 4 years later, look, I'm still alive.
Hey, look, if you could afford it, then go for it. You know what I'm saying?
Go for it. Live your dream. You only live twice. All right, so keep going.
So May walks out into the hallway after the whole situation, and there's two guys in suits, and they're like, Cora Mateo, and she's like, who? And they just take her away. So I was like, what?
That was very, that was.
It was like Men in Black. It was kind of funny.
Men in Black, but I guess they had to just figure out a way to get her back into the scene with Tim on the Monarch ship, and this was it. They were just staking out Kentaro's, and I was like, oh, she'll eventually show up here. Whatever.
So then we're back to older Lee having a conversation with Primary Lee in Axis Mundi. And Primary Lee's having, a lot of doubts. He's wondering what this mission is about, why he's being asked to do this, who's he speaking with. He's still a little unsure. So it's a lot of back and forth, a little banter. And then he's like, okay, like, what's your plan to get me out of here? He's like, have you noticed any activity? Any Titans? Any big Titans? He's like, because we need to find Godzilla. He's like, what? Why? Like, what is this? He's like, well, Titan's your only way out of here. But they devised a plan where there was a tracker in the vehicle that he was in. So they want him to go back to that, find that tracker, take it out, and then find Godzilla so that they could track him in real time. How time moves differently. They could find out where Godzilla is and potentially have him spawn if they need him to fight Titan X, which was Lee's plan.
And I'm sure at this point, people watching the show like, okay, we're going to see Godzilla. We're definitely going to see Godzilla. How else do you progress this story arc here if you don't? They need to get the tracker, right? Because he's putting together the tracker. Zook is giving them the instructions and the whole thing over the walkie. So it's going to happen. So I have to say it from what, in hindsight, after we saw this, was kind of a letdown that the way they had this the attachment of the tracker on Godzilla. I was like, oh, because right here it's teasing. It's like, oh, this is gonna happen. How is he gonna?
Well, I'm glad. I mean, like with what comes, I'm glad like we don't just see Godzilla chasing after him because that
No.
You'll be
It
cooked.
wasn't gonna happen.
But
And we'll get at the end of how we would have thought and our final thoughts on how this whole thing would have worked out. But
so Kentaro is in Thailand riding in style. He's got a Mercedes G-Wagon as an Uber or something and drops him off. Unless they picked him up at the airport, I think.
I'm sure she picked him up
Yeah,
because remember she's got money for days through her dad, Apex.
You're right. That's the same vehicle that they take back.
Yeah. So
it was just confusing because it drove off like after it dropped him off.
That is true. Well, he's got to go to the parking spot and sit there and just wait. It's like, this is my job, you know.
So Isabella is training in Muay Thai or something. She's doing some fighting, and they go into the kitchen and she gives them a water and they have this whole conversation about how her father, she feels is very similar to Hiroshi, only cares about the things that he wanted and was doing, and in a different way. She was saying that like she was adopted and she was her father's primary attention, and then all of a sudden his father was able to
because she said they couldn't have kids. They couldn't
Yeah.
have kids, and that was the whole thing. And then also that this house in Thailand was given to her for her 21st birthday.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow, that's great. It's great to be rich. Thanks.
He's like, my dad got me headphones for
Right,
my
exactly.
birthday.
Right. And they weren't even Beats or anything. It was just like the plugins.
But then she says, like, I don't have anything to do with my father. Like,
Lies.
I want to
Lies.
go against all of this. Like, what if there's a different way, a different route? And then I guess we might as well just like finish out this whole little
Yeah. Just say
because it cuts later into it. But
there's no point.
they get into a cab because I guess Kentaro is not convinced and he wants to head home. And she's like, look, we have 2 hours. Can I try to convince you to stay? She's like, it's been 4 years since G-Day. Nothing has really happened. Monarch, Apex, everyone's fighting for this. My father, your father. It's about time that we make our own decisions. We apply ourselves. We're more than capable. She's like, and what if we had a chance to reverse G-Day? And Kentaro's like, what do you mean? Like, what is it? She's like, well, I don't want to tell you anything unless you stay with me. But she does bring up a good point here. She goes, think about how your father was with all of this stuff. He didn't listen to anybody. He went against almost everybody to do what he believed was right. So maybe that's time for you to do the same.
And they showed a little flashback of that scene that we saw in last episode where they were sharing a beer outside, Hiro and Kentaro. And and she's like, why did he get you involved and tell you and not Cate? And it's like, well, first of all, slow your roll, Isabel. How do you know? How do you know the conversations he had with Cate? Kentaro doesn't even know. So I call BS on it. And I also call BS on her saying that she has nothing to do with Apex because that's how they met. Remember, she came up to him in the bar. She said, oh, I said too much. I was only told to watch you and this and that.
Yeah, that's what she said. Did she say that?
Yeah, she said that.
So now it's sounding like she's like on her own here.
Yeah, out of nowhere, all of a sudden she's on her own. That's a lie. All of it's BS. I don't trust her at all. I don't trust any of this. It doesn't make any sense. No. I'm sure people that were like, wait a minute, that this doesn't add up. So I can't be able to go ahead, put in the comments. You caught this, right? It was like she said it when they were at the bar. She was like, oh yeah, I'm Apex. I was told to follow you, but then I saw what happened and I figured I'd talk to you and the whole thing.
Because if that's the case, she could have just been like, I went against Apex. I'm on my own. I need you for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what does Kentaro really have aside from that experience with his dad?
Just that he's in the know. That's pretty much it. That he knows about the
does he build stuff like his dad does? Like,
no,
does he, like
not that I've seen. I don't remember that. May was his hacker friend, and then they had their history. But no, that from what I understand, he was not the tinkerer. At least not that I saw here. Not on the level of his dad. So I think this is just another way to keep him in the story, but in a different way. And I still think that she's out for herself or she's working with Apex. Something is going on and they're going to use Kentaro in some way. They're going to mess with him. They're going to use him maybe to get some stuff from Shaw or something. Or Cate. Something. Something's going to happen.
Yeah. Now we're in the South Pacific Ocean and we're back on the Monarch ship. The two guys that took May brought her back to the ship. And Tim is pissed. He's like, we made a plan. We had a whole discussion. And then I see you actively participating with Brenda and Apex and doing all this stuff. Like, what is going on? And he's like, and then I have Titan X out here causing mayhem. It seems lost. It kills Hiroshi. Like, we need help. Like, and it's all because of your thing. It's like all we have is a piece of this Titan with your technology still attached to it. So we need to figure out what you were trying to do and what's happening. And then he also brings up that Jason went AWOL because we saw him get in his like a
we got him like a
quad
Jeep and
before
just
and drove
something,
off,
and he just took off. Yeah, he was gone. Where? I mean, he was on that island, so how far could he have gone? You remember, right? They were over in Chile.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, come on now. How many? I'm sure
He took something, didn't he? He took something.
I don't
I feel
know.
like he grabbed something and did.
Even if he grabbed something, unless he got on a boat or a helicopter, he couldn't have done it by himself.
Maybe he has
got
the
a little
code.
raft and it's just like,
Maybe he has the source code or something. Maybe he took something.
Maybe, but I just still find it funny that these two picked up May over at Kintaro's place. They must have gone to a helicopter and just went off to the ship that's in motion out in the South Pacific to drop. You know what I mean? It's like, this is so wild with all the jumping around from different locations and timing, and everything is happening like within seconds. Yeah, I would think that it's whatever. I have to stop thinking about.
Yeah, we got to see past that.
We have to see past that because we went off that whole thing with the Florida.
We're asking too many questions.
Too many questions. And I'm sure. And that's the thing. When you're just watching the show, you're not asking these questions. You're like, oh, whatever. They popped up here and there. But when you're covering it and you're taking your notes and you're writing and you're seeing yourself write this, and you're like, this doesn't make much sense. How much time does it take? This is a lot of time to travel from all over the world like this. But whatever. Let's go.
All right. So then Primary Lee's talking with older Lee again, and he's like, look, what is up with this particular Titan? Like, why do you want me after this? And older Lee's like, you're getting picky now? And the younger one's like, oh, you're sounding like me. And I feel like he's kind of catching on. Then he's like, all right, who are you really? He's like, you could call me Colonel. And then again, they start getting into a whole conversation, and he starts asking him personal questions, which you laughed about. He's just like, what is happening here? But it was funny because older Shaw's like, yeah, like there's this family that these kids, they lost their father recently, and to really, open my eyes to a lot of things that need to be done. And then Primary Shaw's like, yeah, well, I promised Hiroshi that I promised a young boy, right? That
he said a long boy.
I'd return home to him and stuff. And it's interesting that they're talking about, both things that involve Hiroshi technically. Without really even knowing.
One's talking about Hiroshi's kid, and the other one's talking about Hiroshi directly.
Yeah.
Very interesting with all this.
And then primarily, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Primarily says he smells something that seems like a fire. He doesn't know what it is. And then he sees a camp, and he starts walking towards it, and he sees that it seems like it's Keiko's camp.
It is. Yeah. Finds the radio. He's like, oh, she's here. And he's like, you got to let that go. You can't. What? I have to save her. No.
Well, something with lightning was hitting him too. Like something was attacking him right before this.
That was very
they didn't
random.
Talk about that.
They didn't even talk. They didn't even bring it up. Yeah, I have no idea. Maybe some weird lightning. I was expecting some creature to start shooting something from the sky, but we don't see any creature. Just lightning starts happening. Yeah.
So he starts screaming for Keiko now, and then back to modern time. Cate and Keiko, they find the path of this place in Japan that they wanted to go to, and this creepy gate, and they're like, how do we get in? And Cate just breaks in through this like wooden panel part, and they walk in, and it seems like tombstones everywhere, like images of women screaming and things like that. So it's very creepy.
Yeah. And then a zombie came out and grabbed Keiko from the pulled her down. So he's like, no, not again. But I was expecting that, and this was a little bit of a letdown because the way they showed the pictures and with the women,
more stuff was gonna happen,
right? I'm like, oh, we're gonna see something crazy. Like we said, it's gonna be a horror episode, and no, none of that. She points over. Oh, I think that's where the well is, and okay, I guess that's it. But it's there's no one in this village. I would expect at least show one old creepy lady, someone that's still around. No one's there. But
the well is boarded up. They break it open. They tie an old rope that was there to carry buckets from the well.
Yeah. Did you hear what she said? when she called down, so anyone down there? And then I heard, I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
I don't
we got
trust Wells after the ring.
exactly. We have a tie-in. Here we go.
So, and she brings up a point like, you don't have to go down here. Like the last time I went down to something, I fell and it ruined my life and I made a mistake. In case like it wasn't a mistake, it was meant to happen. Like, look at all the things we're doing now. Like, if I
Look at
could
all the
go
things
down
she
there,
lost. Decades with Hero. Come on
yeah.
now. Pros and cons to everything, I guess. But
There's a lot of stuff in this show that probably could be avoided, and it just like links to other things. But
hmm,
she
yeah.
goes down, the rope breaks, she falls
Oh,
down, just like her grandma. She's like and falling into
and
the
I knew it.
darkness.
I said it. I was like, once I said, oh, you're gonna use the same rope for the bucket, that's gonna rip. That's not designed to hold a person. I was like, and sure enough, that was it. She's lowering her down, like you said, it breaks, she falls down, she bumps into the little girl in the well, the zombie body, and then she says 7
No,
days.
but yeah, no, so
I want it. Oh, so bad, so bad.
she's
I
down
know.
there. She's down there. She hears the vibrations extra strong, and she could feel, um, she could feel Titan X. And I guess we could just finish this out because it's not that crazy. But she comes back out, and Keiko's like, "How'd you get out?" She's like, "Oh, there's tunnels that links to this whole thing." She's like, "I think Titan X isn't lost, and I don't think it's dangerous. I think it just needs our help." She didn't specify help with what. I'm assuming getting back to Axis Mundi. Therefore, I would think it's lost, but she said it's not lost. So,
So it
there's
needs his help. Well, that was another one also. She drops in the well. You're expecting something to happen. She says there's a tunnel, she's a path. It might lead to the ocean. I'm like, it's a well. There's fresh water. Whatever.
Adam,
But then
you're too specifically
oh,
into
because I'm expecting to see something. She's going to go down the tunnels. I'm sure I can't be the only one, people. You're like,
like
oh,
some kind of Titan thing.
yeah, we're gonna see some writing on the wall or some creature or
Yeah, they didn't show
something.
anything. This was like no relevance to anything.
No relevant, because then she just pops up. I'm out. Yay, everything's fine. Look, my makeup's great. Everything. There was nothing. And then she even said, she's like, oh, this is where all the women went. They didn't go mad. They were following the sound. So what did you see the bodies on the other side then? Because then that means that they all follow the path.
I'm assuming in the same way where like the cave in Chile was a thing with it, like maybe these caves and things, since they're at like a deeper depth, it channels a different way of understanding the Titan. You know what I mean? Maybe the vibrations down there were at a higher frequency, and maybe she was able to feel something more towards the Titan.
Yeah,
But they didn't show anything. They just she just came out and she was like,
she just came out. They didn't show the connection to the ocean, that whole deal. If the ladies, the women of the village were going mad, why fall in the well if they're just going to the ocean? You could have just walked down to the ocean.
Yeah, it was
you
kind
didn't
of
have to. You didn't have to take the drop down to the well. And that's the other thing. They were they going down through the rope, or were they just dumping themselves over, head first? Then they're not going to make it, because it didn't look that deep. But whatever. It just didn't have a payoff. That's really what I'm getting at. Just to see her pop up, I'm here, I'm okay. And I was waiting for her. She even said, Keiko was like, oh, I thought I'm seeing something or something special. And I was waiting for her to like morph into like a monster. It's like it's playing tricks with you, this area here.
She did say something nice where she was like, of all the people to experience this with, I'm glad I'm here with you.
Yeah, grandma hanging out.
Little moment.
And then she even said, she's like, oh man, now I know what it feels like to lose somebody on that end, because remember, that's from Billy's perspective and Shaw when she went down and then disappeared, and that's what she thought. She thought she lost her forever. So
then we're back, Axis Mundi, in this parallel time, and Primary Shaw sees Keiko, and he's like, I'm gonna go to her. And older Shaw's like, look, don't do it, don't do anything. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, what are you not telling me? He's like, you're not a colonel, are you? And he's like, no. And he's like, they're saying things, and then one of the things that he says, Primary Shaw's like, wow, you're starting to sound like me, or you sound like me. And he's like, say that again to yourself. He's like, you sound like me. He starts having a whole panic attack because he's like, am I tripping out? Like, am I imagining this? And he's like, ask me anything that you know. Ask me anything that only we would know. And he says that he loves Keiko. And he's like, I've never said that out loud. He's like, I know. Like, we've only thought it and seldom thought it. Like, it's a deep thing. So he goes, look, if you want to protect her, and you know how I feel about it because we share the same scars. And then he was like, no, I'm going to go say something to her. She said that in another world we could be together. Maybe this is my chance.
Really? And in this world here where there's big monsters trying to eat you, this is where you have happiness? Come on now.
And Lee
Because he's
ponders it.
dark.
Older Lee ponders it. He's like, well, because he turns to Zook and he's like, what if he or I do this? And what does it change? And he's like, no, like it would change everything.
Yeah, it changes everything. All this stuff happens here. Everything that happens with the kids and all that, and she doesn't come out when she does, and Cate doesn't go down there, and it's a chain of event. We could go on and on and on with this. We all seen Back to the Future. We know how this works.
He's like, if you go to her now, it will change everything. Okay. It's like there's a lot of things that have changed. And then he's like, I'm you. And the kids that I was talking about earlier, those are heroes' kids. He goes, if you change something could happen with those kids. Something could change. He goes, so this is going to be the hardest moment. And he breaks it down like he says, number 1, number 2, but step number 3 was letting her go. He's like, let her go and she will be saved. This is the hardest part.
This was to pull the feels, people. This moment was to pull the feels. I don't know if it accomplished that goal though. Did it do it for you? Did you feel that like, oh, he has to let her go? No, exactly, because this is not. Nobody wants to live a life here. This isn't like a situation of like, oh, you're in a different time and then you're in, Tokyo, whatever, and you're like, oh,
It's
wow,
sad.
yeah, I can start a new life here. She doesn't know, or I can change the path. She doesn't have to get on that bus to leave town or something. No, this is a horrible area. She hates. Yeah, they can live there or try to work together, but they're not going to stay there.
Yeah, what's going to end up happening is he's going to get close to her even more.
Yeah, even more. And the whole
he's
thing.
not going to want to go back, or if he goes back, he's going to be even more pissed.
He said it. He has no food. Remember, he has no food, rations, the whole thing. He's setting up traps to eat what other.
Well, she was catching stuff.
She was doing it. So yeah, so they could survive there. Like he said, there's a camp.
But that's what I'm saying. So like I'm saying that if they felt that they were trapped there and the relationship,
and then just settle, and then everything changed.
But then they go back, and then it's like she's still married, and this whole thing. So it could have been a whole trickle down effect, and then.
Well, it depends on when they go back. If they go back way later in the future, way up in the future, Billy will be dead by then.
Yeah, but it didn't hit the feels. It didn't hit the feels for me because we know that they're in this reality now together.
Yeah. That's where it gets tricky. That's where it gets tricky.
It's sad that they can't be together.
But it's sad they can't be together. But we know she's married. We already know. We saw the letter. Look at all the problems it caused in the last 2 episodes for the letter.
Oh, which is something we left out because Cate asks Keiko like right before they head into that well thing, and she's like,
"Yeah,
did you love him?" And she's like, "Who, Billy?" She's like, "No, Shaw." And she's like, "No, it wasn't like that. It was." And then before she gave an answer,
it was lust. He was there the moment. They had the hots, but it's one of those like, well, I like you for this reason, but no, I'm committed in this relationship, and that's what it was. And that's why she wrote the letter, because if she really wanted to be with him, she would just end it with Billy, and she didn't. So she knew.
So Lee primarily leaves them alone, and they're like, okay, let's get back onto the mission. We need to find Godzilla. So older Lee is like, I remember seeing Godzilla's, cocoon or whatever that he broke out of. So he's kind of like guiding him through this. Like the bro has like a map of this Axis Mundi in his mind. So he heads over to it, and he puts the tracking. He sees like a mountain kind of thing, and he's like, "What is this?" And he's like, "Yeah, Godzilla's in there. I need you to like hack at it and see if you could access, any part of him."
Well, even before this, though, all those creatures were attacking him.
Oh yeah,
there was like the pterodactyl, and then a big tarantula type thing came out.
Like a centipede thing. It was like a dragon thing and a centipede.
Everything's trying to eat him, and they just all disappear.
No, the dragon attacks the centipede and takes it off and eats it.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, my bad. There you go. All right, so then that's it. So he was just in the way. It was one of those type of things where it's like, well, we don't really want you. And we seen that. I think it was in the first episode of the season, right? Yeah, and also in Skull Island where they're fighting each other. So okay, so that explains.
So Lee sees the cocoon thing and he starts breaking into it. And then they're like, all right, just jam the the transmitter thing inside it, the tracker. And he's like, just jam it in. He's like, yeah, just do it. He's like, what if it wakes up? He's like, you'll be fine. Just do it. So it's like, he does it. Of course, Godzilla starts waking up, all pissed, and
it like absorbed it. It was You see it just
Yeah.
sucking in. I don't understand that. It's like, all right, because he was hacking the cocoon. Okay, so now you could see it's there, and then he shoves it in, but you make it seem like he's squishy. And he said, "Oh, I can feel the skin." It was like, yeah, just shove it in there. Unless he's shoving it in his bum, like how else is he just like? You can't just shove it in his leg.
Maybe it just got deeper into it, and when it moved, because it moved, and then
Yeah. It would have
but-
been it would have been a little better. And again, that's just me putting it. If he made the little sharp like object and then attached it to it and then just stuck it in, you know what I mean? Like a thumbtack. Like
yeah.
there we go. There now it's stuck on there. But yeah, it sucks it up, it absorbs it, and it wakes up, and then it kills him. Right? That's like, oh,
No,
man.
he runs off.
He runs off.
He runs off, and then him and older Shaw have a whole conversation where it's like, I guess this is where I leave you, and he's like, well, what do I do now? And he's like, go back to, where you were. Billy's dragon's gonna show up and it's gonna save you. And
yeah, get in the vessel, get in the vehicle that's there for the operation, and he's gonna grab it and throw it, and you're gonna go through the rift, and that's what's gonna happen, and then that's it.
He tells him like, look, because the younger Lee's like, take care of her and all this about Keiko, and he's like, don't worry, like she's gonna be fine. And he goes, but you're a good man, Major. Like, tell yourself that, because sometimes it's gonna be really hard to believe it. Tell yourself that you're a good person. And that's where they end their conversation, which is crazy. And then we covered most of all the stuff that happens after that.
Yeah.
So we get Zook and Shaw. They're back at his house, Zook's house, and he's like, all right, well, we have access to where Godzilla is, so I'm gonna continue the mission. And Zook's like, all right, I'm coming too. And he's like, no, like, you're not coming with me. He's like, what, you think this old man's gonna die? He's not gonna make it back? And then he senses his apprehension, and he's like, you don't think you're gonna make it back?
He was like, man, I told you, if they don't pick up for a third season, I can't come back, and so I'm gone. And
so this is his face. He's giving this whole like sentimental goodbye, and he tells him that he's been a good friend, and then he leaves. He says goodbye, friend.
This was supposed to pull a feels, and it would have if I knew the mission. What is he doing that is going to cost him his life?
He's gonna go try and access Godzilla, and Godzilla's gonna jump out and maybe kill him in the process.
No, but still, I thought we needed Zook with the tracking device, because remember, once primary Shaw sticks the tracker on, Zook sees it on the transmitter. It's like, we got it. It worked.
So I'm assuming he thinks he can handle it himself now.
But he's not taking the device. He's walking away from all this. So
I'm assuming he's taking the device.
I would hope so, but because the whole point, from what we know,
because there's no other way of getting him out,
right? Was to lure him out and to try to get him to fight Titan X, right? That's Shaw's goal.
Yeah.
To have them fight, and then Godzilla's gonna kill. All right, now you have the tracking, but how do you get him from point A to point B when you don't even know what point B is, meaning Titan X? We don't know where he's going. So
that's the problem. Yeah. So if he unleashes Godzilla somewhere that's nowhere near Titan X, they're not gonna fight.
That's what I'm saying. It's just there's some holes here. You don't have to really look into it too much. You can see the holes. It was like, okay, I can understand if he had a plan. It's like, all right, I know this is where Titan X is. I am going to lure Godzilla to Titan X at this location, but he doesn't. So
maybe that's going to be the plan, is like they somehow use a frequency to lure Titan X, and then that's near where the portal would be for Godzilla. Because in the promo footage of all this, like this entire show, we see Titan X fighting Godzilla,
of course,
or even Kong. I think he's fighting Kong.
All of them. Everyone's
this whole
fighting.
thing is inevitable.
Saul's on one of their backs is on Kong's back, pulling their hair.
But it's kind of sad, because Kate's saying that Titan X isn't dangerous, like it doesn't want to fight anybody. So it's kind of sad. But we left.
And we left
one thing out, which was May and Tim.
Well, that's right at the end. Yeah, that's
right at the end. They're doing research on the particle of Titan X, and they're looking at it, and they're trying to figure out exactly what May was trying to do with this whole thing, and she explains it kind of what Brenda's mission was, especially with Apex. And then he's like, well, speaking of Apex, they had a whole deposition with her, and she didn't include your name in it at all.
Yeah. Brenda left her out of it. And you said, oh, okay, I thought that she did this because she wants to take all the credit. Because if this works, and she has May's code, then she could just kill her. I'm like, all right, I did it. Thank you. Now I can control this
But in
thing.
reality, Monarch and everybody already knows that it's her code.
Well, also, May stole a bunch of code and caused a bunch of problems before. And even Brenda said it. It's like, yeah, you made me look bad.
I
So
think
maybe this is, yeah.
I think she didn't say anything because technically she could still walk the borderline between all these agencies. And if she says, "Oh, she was here with me doing this," then that might exclude her from some Monarch stuff technically, or some other Apex stuff. Maybe they're wary of her, you know. So it's like
Yeah.
if she leaves her ambiguous and allows her to do what she thinks would be right in the end, then that could be. I mean, it could be. It seems like Brenda has honest intentions, at least with May, from the jump with this. Even though we thought she was probably a bad person. Right now, I don't know who to trust, and I don't really trust Isabel.
No,
Especially
don't
since
trust
she's like, "Oh, we can access Mundi." I think that's going to be the plot twist at the end of the show, where she unleashes something, and everything flips, and more Titans and things come in, and it's like it's just not.
It's like, and it's what, like Jurassic World, where it's just like they're just everywhere.
Yeah, and it's just a
top
huge
side,
problem, and they
and it's like,
really need May's stuff to stop them because they're just rampaging through the entire world.
and then it turns into like a real Godzilla movie.
Yeah, because she did say to Kentaro, she's like, the rules don't really apply in Access Mundi. Like, what if we could reverse G-Day? So
how does she know all this? That's the other thing. We don't know. I'm sure we'll find out next. What is she? The way she's talking about it is as if she's been there.
I'm assuming if she wants to have some kind of technology that could stop these Titans from moving around or like control them in a sense, if she could get down to, but that's different because they're in a different time.
Yeah,
I don't know if she's saying that she could maybe access them and stop them from emerging for G-Day, then maybe things would shift.
We from what we learned with Billy, there's multiple rifts. And Hiroshi also figured out. Remember, there was another one, Alaska. There's different rifts. So how do you stop all of them? How do you block? How do you shut all of them? I can understand if it's just one rift, then it's like, okay, why did I put up two fingers for one? I can't count. But if there was one, then yeah, you could blow it or whatever and block it, whatever she figures out. But if there's multiple, that I don't know how you pull that operation off. But yeah, there leaves a lot of questions. I don't trust her. Right at the end of this episode, from that scene though, while Tim and them are on the boat, they were like, "Oh, the tracker's going off again! Yay!" Right? They detect that Primary Shaw's vehicle is going through, and they're like, "Oh, that's the old one. How is this possible? Wait, there's something else." And then we see Titan X, and it's in the water, and it's racing toward the desert. Right, we're desert. That's definitely not the village area in Japan.
But it's not that far from where Godzilla is on the tracking device. So if there's a rift there, then maybe they're gonna spawn there too. No, if Kong is somehow involved in this, I don't know how he's gonna get over there. But
all right, so then all right, I got an idea. I think this is what's going on. Once that rift opens up, right? Primary Shaw does the whole thing. Godzilla comes out. What's going on is it's almost like a dog whistle. Whenever that rift starts triggering, I think that's what's luring Titan X, because Titan X wants to get back out.
Yeah,
wants to get back to Access Mundi. So it's like, oh, I sense it. Let me go there. So it's not so much lost. It knows where it's going. It's going to wherever this rift is. But still, it takes time for that to open up. And I don't know how far Titan.
I just want to know why any of the other Titans would be fighting this one. Because Godzilla was pissed. I mean, Kong was pissed initially when Titan X left the island. Like he was like, "Oh man, like where you going?" Like he chased him, and he looked back at the helicopter, like, "What did you just do?" So that led everybody to believe like this thing is crazy,
They don't get along. They have a history. Who knows? I mean, there's got to be something to it. Maybe the little creatures bother him or something.
Unless the frequency that May did, because they said that it did mess with the Titan X. Maybe it sent something off, so maybe it's dangerous now in a sense. I don't know, but
yeah, but we'll find out. We have 3 more episodes, and we definitely know one of them is gonna have a big fight. We're gonna see some big fight here. So the question for everybody now is everyone gonna survive? I'm thinking about it. I could see them, if they're not sure about another season, whatever, they can kill Shaw, or they can just throw him back to the Access Mundi. Or what if Keiko and Shaw, something happens to them? They both go back. We talked about them wanting to be together or not being together, not taking it to the next level. But what if something happens they're fighting the creature, and the only way they can save themselves is to get into the little vehicle, and then all of a sudden that gets chucked back.
Because
It's like,
this is also the whole sentiment of her saying, like, what if in another world and another life? And they have that. So it's like, and she hasn't really specified her true feelings deep down. Every time she's kind of getting towards something, she's like, oh no, it was, and then it gets cut off.
I mean, it's a different time. Billy's not here, and unless they go back and then they come through again, and then he is alive in that time. They can't keep doing the time jumps. Yeah, you can't do that. There's too many shows that have done that, and then eventually it gets to the point that you're like, oh, you give me a headache. I can't deal with all these time jumps. So, but
I like it. I like the time jump. It sucks when like the rules of like reality apply, or at least what we think is reality, and then we have all these questions of like what happens with this, because if that's the case, then everything would be a ripple effect. Even him doing the thing with Godzilla right now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Because that's the other thing. If let's say President Shaw arrives at that location, he knows where Godzilla, because that's where he came out. That's where he's going. This is where he came out. And is he going to see his version? Does that cancel him out? Does something happen when they see each other now that they're both in present day? There's a primary, all of a sudden there's are they merge into one person? They get real sci-fi like that, like he sucks them in. I don't know, but it's gonna be interesting. There's a lot of sci-fi elements to this, not just it being a monster show. There's a lot going on.
I'll take
it. Is cool. It's cool. We'll see. So thanks again, people. If you made it this far, this is us doing our full breakdown and review and discussion of Monarch. We also have other shows on here. We got Marshalls, and we got From coming in April, and I think we're going to be doing a few other ones. But I'll tell you guys more closer to it. And thanks again, and we will be back next week for episode 8. Yep. Peace.